Hello everyone, good afternoon. How are we all? Hopefully you can hear me. Let's turn the chat on and let's see. Hi everyone. Hi Rebecca. Hi Lorraine. Hopefully you can hear me. Hi Patricia and Sandra, and is that Lisa there? Hello everybody. Kathy here. Hi Kathy and Jean. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Rebecca. That's great. Nice to know everybody can hear me and see me. And, oh, hi Linda from the US. Lovely to have you here. Oh, Laurie. Hi, Laurie. And Cynthia. Aloha. Oh, Lord, 3 a.m. Oh, Cynthia, do you work nights? I was going to sleep and I got notified you go live. Oh, Lord. That is dedication for you, watching at 3 a.m. in the morning. Well, if you don't make it to the end, Cynthia, I'd absolutely understand, and you can head over to YouTube to catch up should you need to. All of our lives are saved on there, which is great, because as we know that Facebook isn't keeping them for any length of time now. I think it's a month or 4 weeks. They deleted after 4 weeks, but that isn't the case on YouTube, obviously. So you can head over to the Lisa Horton Crafts YouTube channel, and if you look at all the headings at the top, we have all our videos, which are all the pre-recorded ones. Then we have the shorts, and then there's also the live version, which is possibly where you're watching me from today. But it doesn't mean that everything in there is actually live. All the lives that we've done going back for a good while now are all saved there, and the actual live versions that you're watching now right this very minute are listed at the top, and then as you scroll down you'll see all the previous ones. So thank you for your dedication, Cynthia. I hope we do see you at the end as well. Hopefully as well, I've managed to get my lighting sorted out as well. So it looks pretty good colour match on the screen from what I can see as to what I have in front of me, actually, because I know other weeks I often say that my colouring on and the lighting on the lives looks a bit dark, but I had a few extra spare minutes today. I actually tidied up my desk as well, which tidy desk, clear mind, it helps no end. So it looks like I've managed to get the settings right for you to see. So what I was hoping to do with you today is a little bit of stenciling, because I haven't done any stenciling with you for a little while and I miss it. So I'm going to be stenciling the crocus field here, purely because I haven't used it for a long time and I fancied using it today. So I'm just using the layering stencils, and then I'm going to be using it in a couple of different ways, actually. Once I've stenciled it, I'm going to take some scissors to it and sort of cut in and use individual blooms. But I'll also then, when I come onto the Betterpress, I'll also bring in the crocuses that I've already stenciled. And I will again talk you through how to use the Betterpress. So some people may be familiar with it, some people maybe not. I know, looking in the group, a few people are on the fence, should you get it or should you not get it, and I think in them sort of cases it's really useful for you to see what it actually does, so it can help you make up your mind. One thing for sure is that the collaboration with Lisa and Spellbinders will continue, and there will be Betterpress plates coming out, as well as dies as well. Lisa will always do the Spellbinders dies, which are, say, independent of the Betterpress, but I'm pretty sure there will always be Betterpress plates coming out with each of the collections, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there's some sentiments coming out as well that aren't Christmas, because the only sentiments and words I've got for the Betterpress at the moment are Christmas, so fingers crossed. Okay, so I think what I'll do first, I'll do some stenciling, because, as I say, I haven't stenciled with you for a little while. You'll see on the side of the screen everything that I'm using. So there's a couple of stamps on there as well from the Be Crafty range. Lisa has a couple of these on the website. I think they're limited stock now. These are from Beverly. We all know Beverly from Be Crafty. She's done this fabulous journaling essential stamp. So I'll be using these later, and it will make more sense as to why I'm bringing those in a little bit as well. I want to do some stenciling with you, and what I am also going to be doing is using the metallic inks. I'm mixing them with some of the interference inks and also some of the matte blending ink. So there's going to be a lot of different types of inks go through on this live today. So I'll be mixing and matching and showing you the different effects that you can get with them on the Betterpress as well. I also stenciling with them now because, again, there's a few people in the group who just wanted a couple of extra techniques on how to use the metallic ink. So if you can see me using them in action, hopefully that will perhaps give you a few pointers on how best to use them. So I haven't put the colours up on the chart here, the colours that I'm using, but I will add them to the description under the YouTube video later on, once I know what I've used, because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to reach for just yet. So yeah, I've pretty much listed all the things that will hopefully come up in the live. I'm just looking at this. Lisa sworn to secrecy about her launches. You say that, Lisa, but you always give us little sneaky peeks at some stage. But I'm looking forward to whatever is coming up. Oh, it's Kathy Grimes encouraging you. Oh, go on, Kathy. I'm sure you can squeeze a little something out of Lisa. Okay, so I shall get rid of this list now, and if I remember, I'll put it back up at the end, but the details would definitely be under the or in the YouTube description later on. So let's get stenciling. This is a really nice stencil to use, actually. We only have, I think it's 4 stencils. Is it 5 stencils? 4 stencils in this, so not many at all actually, but we still get a lovely effect. There was an embossing folder and die set to this as well. That isn't on the website at the moment. It's only the layering stencils that are available, but many of you may have the embossing folder already. Now this design is actually a DL design, as you can see. Also sitting on the packaging here. And now, for the purposes that I think makes it easier for you, I've actually turned my Ultimate upside down. If I turn it the right way around, I'll show you the reason why I've done this. It will make sense to you in a second. And I put my stencils on there. The stencils are upside down. The flowers are upside down. Okay. So I usually stencil with my Ultimate pegs on the left hand side, which again makes the image the right way around for you. But with this particular one, the image works better for me when I can have it the right way up. I find it a lot easier to stencil when I'm looking at the image as it should be, which means that the pegs at the bottom. But because you have the Ultimate 2, it doesn't have any of the attachments on, it doesn't have the stamping platform. It means that we can use this any way around at all. And the pegs are no higher than the lip that sits around the Ultimate here, so these don't get in the way at all. So it really doesn't matter which way around you have your Ultimate. So for me, I like to stencil and have my image looking at me the right way up. It's entirely up to you, of course. So I'm going to start stenciling with the metallics. So I'm going to start off with the Ultraviolet. Now I'm using the stencil brushes for this. You can use the blending sponges, which is what I use for the interference. They also work on or with the metallic inks. I wouldn't necessarily suggest using the blending brushes. And what I mean by the blending brush are these black ones here. So we have a stencil brush, which is like this pen form, and then we have the blending brushes. These blending brushes really I would only encourage you to use with the matte blending inks. Okay, so let's start off with the metallic ink. So this is Ultraviolet, and I'm going to start off, I'm going to do a bit of a ombre effect, a bit of a two-tone effect on this first stencil. So on this first sort of strip along the bottom with the crocuses here, I'm going to go very dark, and I pick up quite a lot of ink from the pad with my stencil brush, and circular motion still, as I do with every other ink that I use. And I get a really nice, quick, solid strip of colour there with that metallic ink. Now what I'm going to do with the rest of the ink that's sitting on the stencil material here, I'm just going to use that and work that upwards until I'm not getting any more colour on the card, basically. So that will now allow me to get a really smooth blend. So I'm not wasting any of the ink that's there. I'm working upwards in circular motions. As you can see, I'm not picking up any more ink because I do want to have this two-tone effect. And then once I'm happy that I'm not really imparting too much more colour onto the cardstock, as you can see there, that's when I change the stencil. Now when I take the stencil away, you'll see that I do have that ombre effect, and that is with the metallic ink, and that has given me a really nice smooth blend. So what I can do, hopefully I've lined this up with the second camera there. Let me just see if I can get a closer view. For some reason I can get a better close up with this camera than I can with the other one, and they're exactly the same. Okay, so if I show you there with the metallic inks, using the stencil brush through the stencil, I've been able to get a really nice smooth blend. So circular motions all the way along, working quite quickly. You do need to pick up a little bit more ink with the metallic inks initially, I found, but say just a little bit of patience and you can actually blend. So I'm going to come in with stencil number 2. So this, actually, no, I'm not. I'm getting myself confused. Sticking with stencil number 1. Okay, so I want the two-tone effect. Yes, I started. I'll show you what I've done here. This is what I'm achieving. So this is the two-tone effect that you can see going on. So I've started off with a strip. So we do need to colour the tops of these flowers actually with stencil number 1. So now I'm moving on to an interference ink. This is Lavender Fields. And I chose this mainly because I really like the blend of the colour with the ultraviolet. So I'm picking up plenty of ink again, taking off the majority of it onto the stencil material, and then working from the top of the design this time downwards. And even though I'm using a blend-in sponge this time, a different tool to blend with, the same technique, I suppose, applies. You still go round in circular motions. You pick up the ink and you blend it off onto the stencil material first before it touches any card, because that avoids that initial splodge, for want of a better word, that you can't blend away. So I'm working top downwards, working down towards the metallic ink that I've already added. Now the metallic ink will have dried by now, but if you work down towards that and just work the second ink, whatever type of ink it is that you're using, whether it be matte blending ink or the interference here, just work down to that area where the two inks meet and just work your blending tool, whichever it is that you're using, just over that section where they're blending, and you'll find you'll get a really nice seamless blend. So if I take that away now, you can see that we actually have that two-tone effect. So we start with the darker ink, we work from the bottom upwards, and the lighter ink or the second ink, we work from the top and work downwards. And then where the two inks meet, whether it be the middle or wherever you've decided that level is, where the two inks meet, just work along that section a little bit more and you will get a really nice blend. So that's how we can blend the two colours and also the two different types of ink together as well. So now we're ready for stencil number 2. Here we are. So this time again, I'm coming straight in with the interference. I'm going to work from the bottom of the design upwards because I want the outer petals of this second stencil to be just that little bit lighter. So I'm going to pick up the interference, again work it onto the stencil material, then into the aperture and then upwards. And what you'll find doing it this way is that the bottom part of the aperture will stay darker and the outer edges oh, excuse me, will stay lighter. And again, you get that really nice, almost airbrushed look, but it's really, really easy to do. Again, I'm using a sponge. You will do exactly the same if you are wanting to do this effect with a stencil brush or a blending brush. So work out the bottom, get that majority of the ink at the bottom of the design and work outwards to the top of the florals. And that's something that I do pretty much on all of my stenciling, regardless of what design that I'm using. So, and you're going to have different effects on different areas that you do that on. You're going to be slightly heavier handed with others, use more ink, and I wouldn't worry too much about that, to be honest with you. And I think that's what gives the beauty when you actually stencil flowers. So when I take that away, again, you still have that blended look, and the tops of the flowers are a little bit lighter. It looks like that's where the sun is hitting it. But because I've used the interference ink, as this dries, you're going to have that secondary beauty come through with the mica as the dries, and then you're going to have the metallic of the purple there. But I try and show you that a little bit later on, just as the ink dries. So stencil number 3 is the centres of the Crocus, which I don't know, maybe you know, is where saffron comes from. And these, when the crocuses poke up in the spring, you always makes you smile when you see that massive contrast of colour when you've got the orange stamens there. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. Again, what I'm using is the metallic ink. So this is the pumpkin. I'm picking up a lot of ink, and you can see from the stencil here that a lot of ink is coming off of my stencil brush, and it's layering straight over the purple. So not two colours that necessarily blend together, but because we want that orange to really be bold, it's sitting and layering over the top of that purple perfectly. And you can just see again on that stencil material just how much ink that I'm using. So when I take that away, that purple, the orange really pops out. So that layers perfectly, and it's just the right colour. So now we are on the last layer, so stencil 4, and I'm coming in with the blending ink. So this is the matte blending ink. It's got a completely different finish. It's the Woodland Moss, which is my favourite, of course. You can use any of the other greens, but I do like this one. It's a real nice earthy green, a real olivey green. So I'm just using the larger of the stencil brushes, one of the chunky brushes actually, just so as I can get that ink down really quickly. And I'm putting that down really quick. I'm perhaps concentrating on the base of the leaves here, so though the base of the leaves will be a little bit darker possibly, but I'm not actually too worried at this stage as long as that colour goes down. As I say, I just wanted to do a little bit of stenciling with you so you can see how quick that the crocuses really come together. Now I won't be die cutting it and I won't be embossing it today, but I really don't think it needs to. It's so pretty in itself, isn't it? So I can move those away, and I'm going to allow those to dry, and I will come back to this a little bit later. Now actually what I do want to show you the one that I done earlier on. This was actually stenciled onto textured cardstock, and this one onto super smooth. So if I can show you that, you can see the texture there. So the blend onto a textured cardstock, this is Lisa's textured cardstock, works just as well as it would do onto the smooth. And if I can perhaps, you can just about see the interference on there. You can see the sheen coming through. If I show you on this one as well, I may show you. No, I think it's just that little bit too bright to show you. Never happy, am I? There you go. You can just about get the sheen from the stamens and the interference inks there. Yeah. There you go. And actually that effect will actually come out and be stronger as the ink dries. But you can see how though that has worked. Now, the reason why I wanted to stencil that with you is because I wanted to use the crocuses actually as a focal point for the Betterpress that I'm going to be doing in a second. So I stenciled one earlier on, slightly different colours. I did change my mind. Now the die that comes with the embossing folder to cut these out will cut out all of the crocus in one piece, so you can use that on a DL card. But I wanted to use the crocuses individually. So what I've done, I've actually taken the scissors to this piece here, and I've actually I did emboss this one. I'll show you there. And I just managed to fussy cut out a couple of the crocuses because I wanted to use these with the Betterpress in the background. Now Lisa does have stems. She has die cut stems as well that you can use. Lots of flower heads you can use, lots of different options, but for some reason I just had the crocuses in my head today. So there we are. I won't be fussy cutting these ones, but I did want to show you that's how I got to these ones here. And now we can have a little bit of fun with the Betterpress. So I'm going to bring the Betterpress in. Now, this is the unit in itself. Not to be confused with the glimmer. Oh, you can see my camera's up there. Not to be confused with the glimmer, which if I just bring that in briefly, because I know when I was researching these and before I had them myself, I did wonder. This is the glimmer. Okay, this is Spellbinders also. Very different. This has its own unit which plugs in and heats up, and the platform comes away, and you can see we've got a point of contact here and here, and you need to, this is magnetic. You need to plug that in, you push that in, you put your die on top, you wait for it to heat up, and then you use your foils. So you remember the foils that were 5 foils for, was it £10 on Lisa's website, the pick of the week last week or the week before, and that is what you would use on here. So that's the glimmer, and this is the Betterpress. So you can see they are very different, and obviously they are labelled here. So we've got glimmer there, and we've got the Betterpress here. So what I'm talking about today is the Betterpress. So there's no heat involved with this one whatsoever. Now the Betterpress comes, again, it's magnetic. We have the plate at the top, which is what you affix and attach your cardstock to. You attach the Betterpress plates. They're not necessarily known as dies. You attach the Betterpress plates to this section here. Now, when you get this at home with the packaging, you will also have in your package, along with the instructions, 3 shims. And the shims are these. Don't throw these away. They are far more important than they actually look. They're really thin. They're plastic. There's 3 of them, and it's what it suggests. And I think it depends on the die cutting machine that you're using. But I'll be using Lisa's. It's the Platinum 6 today. But even when I was using this with the Big Shot, the Sizzix Big Shot, I use this with all 3 shims in the bottom. So you take out your magnetic plate, which is really easy to lift. You've got a little finger place here, so that's easy to lift up. Pop your shims in there, pop your plate, your magnetic plate back in, and that's pretty much done and finished. You don't need to worry about those. You just keep them in there. So I'll bring in one of the Betterpress plates. Now these are the Spotlight Circle Duo. Now I've only just got these ones actually, which I was really excited about. They feel slightly different. They feel coated and feel quite, although they're metal, they feel soft. Very strange. Actually, it's a bit like a peach. You know how soft a peach is? Anyway, so you know that they aren't a regular die. And they obviously sit on the magnetic plate. So I've put that on there, and that isn't going anywhere. And that is actually really solid. You can see I can move it, but it takes an awful lot of force. So once that plate is on there, it's really hard to move and sort of get back up off again. I think there are certain magnetic tools. Actually, I know you can use them on the glimmer. I don't know if they work on this one. No, they don't. They only work on the glimmer. Okay, so once your Betterpress plate is on there, it's pretty much on there and not going anywhere at all. Now the idea of this is to use ink and basically stamp onto your cardstock. So it works as a letterpress. And what I will do, I'll show you a little bit later on that you can actually use the unit as a stamping platform as well. So we're basically letterpressing. So anything that you put onto this platform here, you're looking to stamp onto a piece of cardstock, which then brings us on to which of the inks that you'll use on this. Now, all inks will work on your Betterpress plate. Now, obviously, depending on the type of ink and the type of finish you get, you're going to get different effects and different looks. So I'm going to start with the matte blending because they were our first inks. And bear with me, my inks are behind me, so instead of having them all on the desk, in which case I'd have no place to work. So I'm going to start with the matte blending ink, and I'm going to do this onto white cardstock. So the idea is that you ink your Betterpress plate. Okay, so you can do tapping motions depending on how juicy your ink pad is, or you can just swipe the ink pad over the plate. And because these are a really firm felt base, you can press quite hard and you know that you're not going to get any of the ink into the details of your plate. If the ink pad that you're using is really spongy, I would avoid pressing it too much because the ink would then bleed down in between the details and you might just lose a little bit of definition. So I'm going to use Lisa's Super Smooth card initially. Now what we want to do, I've pretty much placed this plate in the center, and we have a lot of grid work and lines to line up our designs on here, and they correspond to the markings that are on the plate that goes on tops, as you can see. So what we want to do is attach our cardstock that we want to impress onto into the center or whichever corresponding place onto our plate. So if we'd have moved our plate further up into this corner, then obviously we would move our card up into the corresponding corner as well. So what we want to do is just attach our cardstock onto this plate here. Now the Betterpress does come with some tape. It is the Spellbinders tape. I find that it works really well and doesn't actually mark your card. So use whatever you've got the confidence in using, I would say. When you place the plate on top, what we want to do is match these 4 corners to the 4 corners that are sitting here. Now these 4 corners are spring loaded. That's what allows us to run this through the die cutting machine, and as it goes through, the pressure will evenly press this plate down onto our design. But equally, because they're spring loaded and their resting position is up, when we put our plate onto them, it snaps, and you can hear that's a real solid snap into place. So our cardstock now is sitting above the die or the Betterpress plate. So at this stage, there'd be no impression that's happening. So we leave that there. I'm going to bring in the die cutting machine. Now, another thing that I like about this is that I can use my lovely new machine. This first time it's made an appearance. It's been sitting beside me for a little while, and I still only use it for embossing. I still haven't cut into my plates. I will do one day, but I'm going to have to wake up brave to do that. But with the Betterpress, again, I don't need to worry about ruining anything. So this is a perfect way to use a lovely, lovely new machine. What I did check out this morning is how we actually run the Betterpress through the die cutting machine, and because they are both Spellbinders machines, obviously they are really geared towards being used with each other. But I have used this with the ZAGS machine, and it works perfectly as well. But using this through Lisa's machine, basically we don't need any plates, no plates to use through here at all. So we take away everything. I would normally be using the platform base A, one of the smaller shims, and the adapter plate if I were using this to emboss any of Lisa's folders. But obviously I'm not doing that today, and because this is quite a chunky piece of a chunky platform as it is, this goes straight through the machine. Now you can push this in. It is so easy to run through. There is absolutely no pressure on the handle running this, and it almost feels like it's not doing anything. It's very, very strange, but it works. So I've run that through. You can come back at the second time if you want to, but there is no need in particular. So I've run that through. Let me just move that to the side. Now I can release the plates from the top and show you that we have a perfect impression. If I come on to camera 2 there, just to show you, look at just how clean and crisp that is, and that is with the matte blending ink. And you can see from the plate here how much ink, well, it picks up all the ink basically. So that is a perfect impression. So that is straight away an ideal background for anything that you might want to use it for. So there we are. See, I just wanted to sit the flower on there, whether that be a die cut or whether that be something that you have stenciled. You can then simply get one of Lisa's print and cut sentiments, or one of these quick stickers, sentiment stickers, put that on there, put it on the card, and away you go. So easy, but you get that really lovely stamped look without all of the pressure of, if I put it into the right place, am I having to stamp again? Am I having to reline it up and then re-stamp? There's none of that with the Betterpress. It really takes away all of that worry for you. So that was with the matte blending ink. Now obviously there are better ways to use the ink that is left on there, but we shan't be worrying about that today. So I'm just going to clean that off. And that also. So once you've had a play and you've become more confident in what the plate does for you, then you can start experimenting with all the different finishes and the different types of ink as well. Now this again is ready to be die cut, because then if you think about the corresponding in the same release, the Spellbinders release, Lisa gave us circle dies, didn't she? But then we have all of the other fundamental dies that then we can use to die cut this out. If you have circle dies, then you can die cut this. You know, once this is printed, then this is just fair game to be die cut to your heart's content, you know, with whatever whichever the design you're going with, basically. So I'm going to do next, we shall do the same again. I shall use a different type of ink just to show you the effects, just to show you just how much fun you can have with it, basically. You really aren't limited by any, you know, too much at all. So I'm just going to cut those down to size. There we are. Actually, I haven't got any of your comments up. I'm hoping. I know Lisa's here and I know Rebecca's here. Oh, hi Maddie as well. What's that new launch for Spellbinders on the 19th of May? Oh, do you know, I've actually lost track of where we are in the month or even the year at the moment. I've got an awful lot going on. I've got lots of dates coming up. I am losing track a little bit myself. But 19th of May, that would be really exciting. Are they launching on Hobby Making, Lisa, or are you doing it on the website? Oh, on TV. Oh yeah, I didn't read that properly, did I? Perfect. Okay. Oh, hi Sheena. How are you? Okay, so this time around, let's use the interference. So that's the Lavender Fields. I will go with that one. And I'm going to come in with a second colour as well, because why not? So I'm just leaning back here and choosing another colour. Let's go for that, and I'll go for Tropical Paradise. So what I want to show you now is how well the interference works on here, and also we can go two-tone. You can do two-tone, three-tone, four-tone. It's entirely up to you. But yeah, if I can show you this now, this is Lavender Fields. This is the interference ink, and again, I want to go two-tone on this. So I'm just going to stamp or ink up this plate, the bottom half, with the Lavender Fields. Okay, so we'd have that section there, and then we can come in with the Tropical Paradise at the top here. Now I have found actually that brushing this on seems to work better. Now again, because I'm going two-tone, what you want to try and do is overlap those two colours just slightly. You may just interfere, you know, you may contaminate your ink pad a little bit, but it really won't matter too much. But you can see there we've got some sort of blend going on, and I can make that perhaps a bit more of a smoother blend by coming back in with that first colour and just blending that a little bit more. So again, I know that that's lined up and I know that's in the centre. I snap those corners together, which has got a really satisfying snap, so you know definitely that that is so solid in place. And then I can run this through the machine again. It takes absolutely no pressure. And I know somebody was looking to buy Lisa's machine, and one of the considerations he was having was how much pressure he needed to have to run anything through, which is a fair point. It's a fair comment to make, and it is a big consideration. And I can honestly say that there is absolutely no pressure whatsoever. There is absolutely no force needed to run this Betterpress through, although it's a completely sort of different system and we're getting a very different look. It is so easy to achieve. So I turn that over again, and then you can see, and if I turn that to the light, you can just, there you go, you can see the effect of that interference inks coming through. So I will swap to camera 2, so hopefully, there we go. It does give you the better view. So you can see that we have that blend of colour in the middle. And you can see, there you go. You can see the lovely effect of the mica and the interference coming through. So again, that will give you a lovely background to set a colour onto there. And again, even that works. And again, you'd need simple sentiment. You can really make super simple cards, but really effective cards with these plates. Now I think what I might do now, I'm going to swap plates, because this set that I'm using, the Spotlight Circle Duo, as the name suggests, is a duo. So we have this lined one, but we also have a spotty one as well, which I'm really excited to use. So I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. Yeah, I'm really excited to use this one. You can go really subtle with this next one, or you can go bold. Again, I'm going to put that in the center. And I think this time I'm going to use the metallic inks again. Or what I want to show you really is that you can use any ink on all of these. Let me put you back here so you can see straight up. I'm looking for my silver. And the Verdigris. Okay, I've got the two colours out now. So actually I'll go with the Verdigris because that's a little bit darker to start with, so you can see. So again, I think because of the pattern on this one, it actually works to dab the ink pad. And this is the metallic ink, the Verdigris. And again, because I've placed this in the centre, I know that if I put my card in the centre, both the card and the die, or the plate, are going to correspond. So again, I'm just reusing the tape that is on there. It works multiple times. So again, a satisfying snap. So you know that it's all in place. But I can run that through. You can almost push it through, to be honest, and if you watch, I'll just pull it back the opposite way, and you can see just how easy that is just by pulling it through. Now, I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing that, but it just shows just how little pressure that you need to actually move that through the machine. So if I take that away and take that off, and again, you have this. It's a lovely subtle effect. And again, you can two-tone on this. Now, if you wanted to, actually, what would be interesting, because everything is staying in place, nothing is moved, so the same premise as the Ultimate, where you take your stencils on and off, because nothing has changed. What I can do, if I wanted to come in with a different colour on this, I can now re-ink areas of this die, not necessarily all of it, with another colour. And then we have that two-tone effect. So whereas we had two-tone on this one, where I put the, it was just one pass and it was the two inks on the plate at the same time, you could have also done it this way around. You could ink it for a second time, run it through a second time, and then put the ink on that way. Now, I don't know if I've chosen the right colour for this to actually be seen. We shall see. But again, it's all trial and error. It really is. So if I take that away, now let's see how, yeah, it has, that's worked. Can you see now the difference that's looked, because now we have the silver around the outside. So again, that's going to give you a whole, you know, completely different effect, something that you can really really play with. You really can't go too wrong with it, to be honest. So I'm going to move that to one side. Now there's one more type of ink that I just want to show you that works on there. Let's say the idea of this really is today just to show you how this works. I'll come up with a couple more ideas on how to put projects together, but I won't be finishing a card particularly today. Right, we can just smooth that up all there. Right, let's just clean that off. Now I think what I might do now, I'm going to come in with the Swift Dry ink. So I'm going to use, what colour? I'll use the I'll use black. Yeah, the licorice. Because this is really ideal for when we have sentiments, you see. And what I want to do, you would definitely more likely to use the Swift Dry ink. What have I just done with it? I've put it back. Put the wrong one back. There we are. So you would definitely be using your Swift Dry inks for sentiments, I would imagine. So again, I think it's important to show you just how crisp the Swift Dry inks would look on here. So although I'm not using the sentiment, you will get an idea. So again, I can ink this up. And if you need to, just instead of dabbing, you can just swipe along, just so to get a really nice coverage all over. And it's really easy to see. You'll be able to see when the coverage is just right. So again, hear that snap, and we can put that through. It's nice when you actually get that confidence and then you run it through the machine and then you take the plate off and you have the confidence that you got a really nice impression. There's just something really satisfying about that. There we can see. Isn't that gorgeous? That again would look lovely with just something simple over the top of that. I mean, just how pretty is that? Isn't that just gorgeous? I mean, it's so summery. Again, I'm using that because the Crocus, because that's what I have there. But imagine any of the dyes. It doesn't necessarily have to be a flower dye. It can be whatever takes your fancy, you see. So that I love. I really do love. Now, but what I wanted to also do, so that's the Swift Dry. So that is perfect for your sentiments. Now, before I move on, what I want to do is just layer. You can either, oh, that's moved. That's not going to work now because the die's moved. I think I might need to do that again. I'll do that again on the reverse. So that would have been ideal if the die hadn't moved. So what I need to do, I mean, that in itself I would use anyway. So let's go ahead and use another piece, and we'll be less vigorous in the cleaning this time around. So we'll stamp that again with the quick dry, oh, sorry, the Swift Dry to start with. So we'll run that through that again, because what I want to do is layer an interference over the top of that. Just out of curiosity, really. I love that black and white. So we take that off. So again, that has given us a lovely look. And I think actually I won't clean it this time around. I'm going to choose my interference. I'm going to go for sapphire gold. I'm going to go for something a bit bolder here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to ink this up again now. Okay. So I didn't need to clean it. So this is working this time around because I didn't clean it and the plate didn't move. So I can go back in with a second colour. So I'm not going for necessarily like an ombre colour like I have done before. But what I want to do is just give that swift dry ink just a little bit of a boost, a bit of a glow up with the interference ink. How are we doing for time? Ah, yeah, I like that. Right, let me see if I can show you. Now this is going to test my camera skills. Can you see there just how that colour's changing? Now it doesn't look blue because obviously we've got the black layered underneath it, but it gives that black. So remember, it was the swift dry ink that was underneath it, which is just the straight black like this. And then I've layered the sapphire gold over the top. So you have that effect of the second colour, or the effect of black card from the interference ink, but you've got it on the white card because you're layering the ink only over black ink. Does that make sense? So that's a really, really nice look. So again, I've been working on white card. You're not restricted to white card at all. So let me just show you again. I know I'm going on, there's an awful lot to show you, but I'm going to ink this up with the interference and just run this through on a piece of black card. Apologies, let me put you through onto this one. And then what I want to show you is how that you can use this just as a regular stamp press as well. So, oh, put my black card the wrong way around. Silly Billy. Let's take that off of there. There we go. So what I'm going to do now, so this is onto black card. So it doesn't have to be black card. You remember, just think about all of your design papers, especially the ones that are really nice subtle backgrounds that you can just enhance with these effects as well. So we can take that away. And then I can show you, see, on black card. Then obviously you have that shimmer there as that ink dries and the mica comes up. So even on black card, this is a lovely, lovely effect. And obviously, depending on the plate that you're using, the sort of the intensity of the pattern and the colour that you're using. Again, so you just imagine sort of layering up something like this. Let's try and get that colour onto black cardstock as well. So that is the capabilities of the stamp press and using it through the die cutting machine. So bear with me, I'm just going to tidy this up quickly. But what I also want to show you is the secondary use for this. Now my fingers are an absolute mess. Okay, that we can actually use this as a stamping platform. So I just want to make sure I get that clean now, because I'm going to be coming onto this with a white card. I've got in a right old pickle. So I can move my lovely machine out the way. Okay, clean cloth. Okay, just get rid of all of that ink. Oh, goodness gracious. There's ink everywhere. Right, bear with me. I do just need to wipe my hands as well. Okay, right, hopefully that's dried. So there are endless opportunities that you can have using this with your die cutting machine and getting all sorts of lovely effects. Again, you can mix and match. You can layer metallics and interference on there at the same time, metallics and matte blending inks as well. You know, you just really go to town. There's not really a huge amount that can go wrong. So you remember we have our our stencil crocuses. Now, to me, this would be just ideal as a card in itself with a quick sentiment on this. Now, I like to stamp sentiments directly onto the layer. I've got the confidence in the stamping of with an acrylic block. I've got the confidence to stamp using a stamping platform as well. Not everybody has, and that's completely understandable. I've got a huge amount of confidence in Lisa's products, and I think that's what really helps. But not everybody has, and that's absolutely fine. And particularly if you're new, what you can do is use the stamping press or the Betterpress as a stamping press. So I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use something. I think. Let's just go Happy Birthday. You can't go wrong with Happy Birthday, can you? So to stamp the Happy Birthday directly on here, what I would normally do is take an acrylic block and go straight onto here. Or you have your stamping platforms. But what you can do with this is not do it that way round at all. You can add your project to the plate here, and you can secure this down with a tiny bit of tape if you want to, just to make sure that it doesn't move. That's absolutely fine. You can add your stamp to your project in the position like so, and then you can use your plate to pick up your stamp. So again, the magnets in the corners snapped into place. You can pick up your stamp as you would using a stamping platform, and your stamp has stayed on this platform here. So now you've got the opportunity to ink up your stamp with whichever ink that you like. You've secured your project in place with a little bit of tape here, so you know that this isn't going anywhere. Again, you wait for these to snap into position. Your sentiment isn't touching at the moment, because remember that these are spring loaded and basically hovers the plate above your project. And now you can then just press the area where you've picked up your stamp and press your stamp onto your project. Take that away, and then you have a perfectly stamped impression. Now, if you needed to, because nothing has changed, the same way with the stamping platform, you can ink your stamp again and put it down for a second time if you needed to. So again, as I say, this gives you the confidence that you can create a super effective look. And I really, really like that. I really like to stamp over stenciled images. I think it's got a really, really nice finish to the look, particularly when you've got the confidence in a nice crisp ink that you're using as well. Again, let me show you something else. You can use your stamps like this in any way at all. So this is where I wanted to bring in perhaps some of these stamps as well. Say some of these stamps are very, are quite bold and may just need stamping a couple of times. Where are we for time? Okay. Now I was going to stamp this a little bit finer, but actually what we'll do this around. We'll do that this way, that's fine. So the reason why I wanted to use these stamps, because they take up a lot of ink, so you possibly do need to have you possibly do need to go in a couple of times just to get that intensity of the colour. So I'm just securing my project in place there like that. And I will come in with this is me playing now. Playing with stuff. I do love stamps. Okay, so I'm just going to layer that like so, I think. Take that stamp off of there. So now I'm working this way around. You can equally use this the other way around as well, but it really doesn't matter at this stage. So I'm going to pick up all of those stamps. Oh, I didn't secure my card properly underneath, but that doesn't matter actually, because I don't necessarily need to line anything up. I just need to make sure that that's definitely stuck into place there. So I'm going to ink these stamps. Now this bird stamp is probably going to need a couple of stamped impressions. So we should do this first way round and stamp that onto there. And when you're stamping something like this, I think it's always best to go lighter. Oh, that's moving. That card is moving underneath purely because I haven't stuck it down properly, and that's the only reason. So let me put that on there and something on there too. Okay, so you can see this bird just needs to be just a little bit more bold. So I'm going to leave the stars as they are. I don't want them to be any bolder. This one, yeah, I shall stamp that one as well. So I'm going to stamp this again. So I've inked that up for a second time. I can snap that back into place, and then I've got the confidence that nothing moved. And I can stamp that down again. Again, you can use your fist if needs be. And then take that away. And that's given us a far better impression of the bird there. So you can go back in a second time. Let's say that's the point of that, as long as your project is stuck down properly, which say mine wasn't initially, but that was my error as opposed to anything else. So you can use that as a stamping plate like so. So again, there's so many different uses for this. Now let me take that away from there. So I've covered all the uses for the Betterpress. Now obviously you create loads and loads of different things, and probably what you'll find, you'll sit and have a good old play. You have all sorts of different backgrounds and things that you've played with, different color combinations and whatever, and now everything is ready to be die cut. So that is where now you can have a little bit of fun and actually create different things. This is something that I was playing with earlier on. I was able to stamp the sentiments in the middle of the circles just there. Again, this is just something that I played with in the background, and you can see that was an interference ink that I've put on there as well. Okay, and then just stamping right over the top of that. Have a play, see what you can come up with. There's going to be lots and lots of different ideas. Now this is, once you have your backgrounds here, you can then take your dies and then you can die cut from them. So just because we've created the background, it doesn't necessarily now mean that we have to use it as a background. We can die cut anything from it, basically. Flowers. We've got these lovely quirky vases from Lisa, which you can create all sorts of modern different looks with them. So use them. They're tiny little dies, so perfect for the background. Perfect for my little machine as well. So we can run that through there. And then we have ourselves a lovely little quirky die, which has got that lovely effect with the interference and the swift dry there. So you can go ahead and make yourself lots and lots of different flowers, lots of different embellishments that way. Again, I think it will be a case of not necessarily a session of making when you get this out. It'll be a session where you'll be just making lots of different things and putting together let me see, let me use this one actually. So I'm going to die cut a butterfly, I think, from there. So yes, what I was saying, if you get the Betterpress or you have the Betterpress, I think what will happen is you'll sit down and you'll just have a session of making different backgrounds or different lots of different things to die cut from, as opposed to actually creating finished projects. That will probably come at a separate time in a different crafting session, because you'll start one combination, you think, oh, what if I try just this? And I think you can easily lose hours playing with all the different things. And I know when you get new inks, and when new inks come out from Lisa as well, that you want to try them all as well. So I wouldn't necessarily think about having a stripy butterfly, but it will show what I'm trying to get at here, that these backgrounds can be used as design papers to die cut from as well. So what we have here, so this is one of our composition die sets, the zigzags and stripes, and I've just die cut the layers there like so, and I can just then use the butterfly that I've used with the background and lay that on the front, and then just imagine you have your sentiment that you'll be able to stamp straight onto your panel there. And again, that's another quick and easy card for you to use. You don't have to use a butterfly. You can possibly layer your vase with a flower on there as well. So many different applications, and I could go on for hours and hours, but I think I've probably kept you long enough. Let's say, so I should bring that one in here as well. So today wasn't necessarily about creating a finished project for you, just giving you lots and lots of different options to create the potential for lots of different projects. Let's say that one as well. So I've kept you quite long enough today, and I've chatted about all sorts of different things. So I shall let you go, but hopefully that's explained the Betterpress for you today. In case you were wondering about that, I'd say I know it's one of those things that a lot of people talk about and you don't necessarily know, and it's not always easy to find the somebody answering the questions that you may want to answer. Hopefully I've covered everything. If I haven't, then obviously pop a question into the group, then there'll always be somebody there that we can answer for you. So thanks so much for joining me this afternoon. I actually really enjoyed that. I'm just looking back at the comments there. I'll read through all of those in a second with a cup of coffee, I think. Thanks so much for joining me today. Enjoy the rest of the sunny afternoon, everyone, and I shall see you again soon.